Hi guys, welcome to episode 16 of Mom Can You Not? And I have my beautiful co-host Mama. How are you doing today, babes?
I'm grand. I'm fantastic. I'm loving the consistency. I'm loving the coming up in our paspe mango. If we had known before we started shooting this whole thing, we would have called it paspe mango.
Oh my goodness. Maybe we need a section called Paspe Mango.
We probably do.
Yeah. Okay, so it's been Easter this week. What have you been up to?
Well, it's been Easter. I've been so busy. We're going to a wedding in June, so I'm crocheting a dress for this one. So I was busy trying to, because it's a simple pattern, but it's tedious because it's long. So that's what I've been doing. What have you been up to?
What have I been chasing after my kids?
Oh yeah, and the
All of
kids.
my days.
Oh, I absolutely enjoyed them. She gets to use some of my creams and she loves using my creams, the perfumes. Oh my goodness me, you should come into our bedroom.
She was refusing to have a shower with Shiloh because I'm getting ready with Nanny.
Yeah.
Yeah, I call her mum's little mini me.
Oh,
That's a little sidekick. She just copies everything that she does.
Oh yeah. I always enjoy it when she comes.
So it's looking like Bonfofo branch is happening. They've had quite a lot of sign-ups. Yeah. It's gonna be in Leicester. Quite a few people have signed up. More than 10 have signed up. We were happy with 10.
We were happy with 10. We just wanted, a very intimate Bonfofo family kind of thing. But it seems you guys are really keen on seeing us. So that's fantastic. Thank you so much for those who have signed up.
So if you want to join us for Bonfofo branch, 31st of May, prospectively. But if the date changes, you'll know in the WhatsApp group chat. We've got a WhatsApp group chat. And there's a mailing list. So I'll let you guys know if the date changes.
Why are you not joining the WhatsApp group chat, guys? In there, I even I put in some extra takes to clarify some of the things that would have chatted on here. So join our WhatsApp. Have you put the whole thing?
Everything is in the description or on the website.
Right. So apparently there's a website, and there's also within the description on YouTube somewhere there you'll see how to join our community. Come and join us. We don't bite.
I could be using your likeness for anything, because apparently.
Yeah, because this is the thing. I don't get involved with the back end of the whole thing. She's the producer. She's the one who does all the promo. So all I just do is wake up, have a shower. I don't even do my own hair or my makeup. And this is the other thing with my hair. When she does my hair, and my curls. So we fight over that. I'm in such a chokehold with not wanting my curls to be brushed out. But she's very insistent on it. So I'll just...
Yeah, I said if you want to punzo your curls, you can do your own hair. Yeah. That's a threat, isn't it?
It is a threat. And I don't know why she threatens me.
You know how it was just Easter. Can you tell them about Rio and his holidays?
Oh my goodness me. We always, the other thing is we never talk about Rio because Rio doesn't like cameras, isn't it? So he doesn't like to feature in these things. But Rio will celebrate every holiday on the calendar. He will send me WhatsApp messages to say things like "Happy Siblings Day, Mom," happy
Ham Sandwich
Day, anything on the calendar, because he will look on his. I think he's got a Google alert on his iPad which tells him if there's any holidays or whatever. So obviously Easter is a big one, isn't it? So the last time we had a holiday was Christmas, and before that it was Halloween. Right. So Rio, and it's this one's fault. When Rio was very young, because Coco is an older sister to Rio, because between them there's like 13 years. That's 14. 13, yeah. 14. So when Rio was born, Rio was sort of like Coco's baby. Test run to motherhood. So everything that, pertains, holidays, book days, anything, Coco was such a present mom. Would do all those things with him. And then obviously she created a monster. So Rio from the age of 1, from the longest time, from the time he can remember. From a very young age, Rio's birthdays have been celebrated. He's done Halloween, he's done Christmas, and it's always been, very baby friendly. And so Rio got used to the good life, got accustomed to this lifestyle, right? I don't do any of those things. He's lucky on his birthday if it's celebrated. Because I'll try to find a cheat way out of doing things. Because I remember when he was 6, I think Coco was doing something. I can't remember. Because Coco would take over and do everything, right? But this time, I think she was busy with something. And then I was left in charge of Rio's birthday. So I said to Rio, tell you what, we're going to have a barbecue. And then we'll barbecue on your birthday. And he looked at me quite strangely and was like, but barbecue is just cooking. It's not my birthday. So he knows how to celebrate a birthday. He knows how to celebrate things, right? So it's her fault. Now, roll on Easter eggs, Easter egg hunts. Rio has done Easter egg hunts from the time he was 1. So it's things that it's become an expectation for him. So last year I was like to Coco, nah, fam, we cannot keep on celebrating every Halloween. I want out of this Halloween business. So I said to Rio, I found Jesus, my Lord and Savior. So in this house, I'm no longer doing anything demonic, and Halloweens are demonic. Rio looked at me strangely, and he was like, "We're still doing Halloween." I said, "No, it's against my religion. It's against my newfound appreciation of Christ." Because I was trying to find a way of getting out of this, guys.
Like even if he was to repeat at school, because that's what he does as well.
So anyway, he went to school and he asked his teacher, right? He was like, my mom said that we're not doing Halloween because he's a Christian. And the teacher said, yes, you need to respect your mom's religion. So he comes back. He still is not understanding it. He's like, Mom, we're still doing Halloween, right? I said, no. Because the thing is, he doesn't like to be age shamed. So if you call him, you are too old to do these things, he gets really upset.
He gets really upset.
He gets so upset. So I thought, how else can I say it to him without, upsetting him or talking about his age, because he doesn't like that. I said, I'm now a Christian, a very fully fledged member of the Jesus Army, and we don't do that in our religion. We don't do anything demonic. You should have seen how heartbroken he was. And at one point, because I thought, I'm not going to relent. This is what we're going to do. We're not going to do Halloween. Anyway, Christmas, we did Christmas as normal. Coco went above and beyond as she does, spoiling him. So now, as soon as, when you get to Boxing Day, Rio starts saying, it's Easter soon.
Oh, God.
When Halloween comes to the end, it's Christmas. When he looks forward to the next coming holiday. So I'm thinking. So I said, so Easter comes. Obviously, the girls are at home with their mom. And I said to you, I don't do holidays like that. So if the kids don't come over, we're not doing Easter. So he was like, oh, okay, And when he saw the Uber come through with the girls, he was up there. Because when he saw the girls out in the car park coming with their mama, he was like, Easter is back again. But he knows, because the other thing is, when he gets very anxious because because of his autism, he gets anxious about things not happening or not happening at the time he wants them to happen, and he starts acting up. This time he was like, no, I'm a changed man, Chris Brown. There's nothing that's going to come between me and this Easter holiday. So the girls came. He was very nice to the girls. Him and and Jojo are like an old couple. They are always arguing about something or it's always like, I'm not arguing with you. I'm not arguing with you, Rhea. I'm just trying to tell you something and you're saying I'm arguing. Okay, Jojo, are you saying okay because you think what I'm saying is right, or you're just saying okay because you no longer want to talk to me? Okay, Jojo, okay, what? Then Jojo will come downstairs and she'll be like, Rhea doesn't want to talk to me. I'll be like, Rhea, speak to the baby. Then Jojo will go upstairs and be like, well, yeah, you have to talk to me because Nani said so. So anyway, they were not even arguing that, like that old couple they normally do. They were just getting along, and Rio was getting along to get along. He was really biting his tongue. I was like, no, there's nothing coming in between. I don't want to be told I'm being mean to the girls. I don't want to be told anything. This Easter is going to be celebrated. Yeah.
And there wasn't even Easter eggs in the shop.
Yeah, then this one went to Marks and Spencer to find Easter eggs, but found a few. Came back. And Sunday, I'd gone out for my walk. I get a text from Rio. Happy Easter Sunday, mommy. Happy Easter Sunday, my sister. Being very nice. Had a shower. Rio will fight you to go into the bath. somewhere. He does not like to have a bath. But he went there, had a bath, was smelling like $1,000,000, even put on his cologne, his roll-on, his perfume, everything was smelling very good. Anyway, he's just, twiddling his thumbs that when are we going to rush? We're not going to rush each other for these Easter eggs. So I was teaching him a lesson in patience. So he had to wait. He waited and waited and waited until, Hello Mkwasha came. And then he's the one we gave him handover and we said, you are in charge of the Easter egg hunt. So then they did the Easter egg hunt. And he's been turned up since.
Apparently, Jojo was just following Ray to see where the Easter egg to just collect wherever.
That's how
That's so clever.
That's a smart hand. Don't work hard, work smart. Let the hard workers work and you just reap the benefits.
Yes.
Isn't it? Yeah.
That's
It's
clever.
a group work, isn't it? Get somebody to do the research and you just stand there going.
When we were on our annual leave,
on
our mid-season hiatus, one of the things that happened was Mum's brother passed away.
Yeah.
So this episode is actually about grief and funerals. So
yeah,
but in black.
There you go. So yeah, we've told you about Rio's holiday obsession. So this is so weird speaking about him now because sometimes you forget that. I can never forget him, but it gets better. I think when my brother died, I've got many brothers because if you've listened to my previous episodes, I had a very busy dad, and the brothers. If you hear me talk of brothers, they are more my mother's children. Those are the ones I grew up with. Those are the ones we shared a lot of life together with, if you like. Because my brother, the one who died, Uncle Levi, his name was Ngoni, but he preferred the English one, I suppose. I speak of my close siblings. I always speak of these ones because we've got a shared identity, we've got shared experiences and shared memories. So he was my baby brother because between I carried him on my back. I bathed him. I taught him to talk. I fed him. He was that much younger than me. And to lose somebody way younger than you, is very shocking to the system, considering how close we were. And the early years, if I was to remember the early years, because there was myself, my brother who comes after me, who I love dearly. His name is Kudzi. And then there was Ngoni, and there's my little sister, Anonzi Rufaro. So there was 4 of us. And my brother, the one who passed away, used to call us the Fab Four because he was into everything, cartoon superhero kind of things. So he used to say that we are the Fabulous Four and we all have got superpowers in our own way.
Aww.
And I don't know what our superpowers were, but he knew. He never told us until he passed away, I'm assuming. He always knew what our superpowers were. And him being the baby at that time, because my sister Rufaro didn't come at this point. There was just the 3 of us. We used to take care of him so much between my brother and myself. But because being young, you want to play, but you are told, when you want to go somewhere, take the baby with you. So we used to take him everywhere with us. So it never became like an ask. It was just something that we did. So we became bonded like the 3 of us. So Mom was very comfortable with leaving us with him. So one day we left with him. Then he decided to go into this tree, right? Then he fell.
Oh my gosh.
From the tree. I think he could have been 4.
Oh my days.
So when he fell, you all, as kids, you hope for the best, don't you? And my brother Kudzai goes, Memo, that boy's hand is looking the wrong way. I think that boy has broken his arm. And we're like, so we looked at each other. Then we looked at him, but he wasn't crying. So he stood up and was like, I think I was still in shock. And we said, are you okay? And he was like, And I said, okay. And clearly hasn't broken anything, because if he had broken something, you would be. But the whole day, his hand kept on doing some funny movements. But he wasn't crying, right? So, we're like, so we're looking at him. So we're doing many things for him. We're buying him freezes and things like that
You
just to
wanted to
keep him.
snitch.
No, we just wanted to keep him. He was never a snitcher like that, because the other thing is he enjoyed being around us so much that he felt if he snitched, he would be stopped from doing things with us. So he was never much of a snitch. So anyway, we spent the whole day because mom had gone, to the farms to sell. So he went to bed. Everything was fine. Nothing. So at this point, my brother and I were like, "Oh yeah, we've baskets. Nothing has happened, so we are good." Wake up in the morning. I cook porridge. They all eat porridge. He's fine, guys. Absolutely nothing wrong with this little boy. On the third day, mom is coming back. And we knew that mom was coming back on that day. My brother said, like this, like this little bony eminence here. My brother was like, my Kudzi was like, yo, fam, that it looks like it's starting to swell. So he said, oh, let's get a freeze it on it. But he wasn't saying anything. He was like, I'm fine. Even when we're putting this freeze it had, and it sort of like stopped. Anyway, mom comes back. He's fine. Was everything okay with you guys? Yeah, everything was fine. Nothing. We go to bed. At this point, right, he's now starting to make this sound like,
Oh.
And so mom is like, is everything okay? And then he was like, he's fine. No one answered, so we went to bed. We wake up in the morning. His hand from here up to here, it's all swollen up. You couldn't even try to touch it without him screaming.
Oh my gosh.
So at this point, we're thinking, right, when we handed your child off to you, your child was fine. So at this point, no one is confessing to anything. I was like, what happened overnight? Were you beaten? What happened? He's like, So we're looking at him. My brother is going. And so mom is going, what happened to you? He's like, nothing. But your hand is swollen. So anyway, at this point, because of the amount of pain he was in, because mom couldn't even get to touch him. So mom takes him to the hospital. He had broken his hand in two parts. He had broken his hand near the elbow and where that bony eminence where it
so was he in shock that whole time?
He's a weird one because his pain threshold was so super heroish. I think that's why his superpowers that he just had such a strange pain threshold. So mom comes back. So we're sat there because at this point you could talk. So mom is asking us, so what happened? So I'm a terrible liar. My brother, the one who comes after me, that boy can lie. Can lie like a lying man. It was like,
he's the same man after all, man.
Like, and he's so convincing. So he goes, mom, you came, didn't you see me was fine? Were you not fine, young man? He was like, yeah, I was okay. So mom was like, maybe you fell somewhere and we didn't see it. This is mom now giving us an out. And because I wanted to buy the out and my brother pinched me. Because I was like, yeah, maybe. He was like, nah, not when I watch. Do you? Yeah, because when I took him to the shops, he fell when we were walking. So maybe that's where he broke it.
Yeah.
So my brother wanted all this, suspicion of blame to shift somewhere else, and
to be speculative.
Yeah. So when you were with him, he fell. Yeah. Because and he just stood up, so I thought everything was okay. And my brother was like, "That's where it happened."
Yeah.
When you're with him, I was like, sorry, Baba. My mom going, sorry, Baba. I didn't even realize. Because he was a klutz anyway. He used to fall all the time. So my mom was like, that's where it probably happened. It's like, and because obviously straight after that, then the sweating started happening. But we knew where it happened because we looked at his hand. It was a bit funny. And there was a time when it was just doing this. So that was my brother. And, growing up, because he was way younger than me. There was always that element of respect. And I don't think he ever saw me like a big sister. I was like a mommy to him. So I was authority. Everything I said, went, and it even became more prominent when I became a mom and he was still a teenager and things like that. So as much as he was my baby brother, he was also my baby in a way. And I had such a reverence for him and the way he, because when I left home, he then eventually went to live with his dad. So we sort of like there was a time when we didn't keep in touch as much as we should, but then we reconnected again and we just literally started off where we had left off. But at this point, I was here in the UK and he was in South Africa, and we kept in touch. Again, that pain threshold thing. He was unwell for a very long time and he wouldn't tell anyone. But then he was lucky because he had a partner who was very attentive. So the partner said, well, he's not saying that he's in pain, but I think things are not very good with him. So anyway, initially that time I arranged for everything and he went back home for mom and dad to take care of him. And, he was taken care of and he got back, and, to his baseline. He went back to South Africa. And unfortunately, I think after 2 years from the first incident, he became very unwell again, then went back home. But the funny thing, not even funny, the strange thing about Ngoni, I would say, is, he wasn't one to bother people. He just wanted to mind his own business. And I think if he had his own way, he would have died in South Africa without anyone ever knowing. Because I think he just thought with my sister, I'd squandered my chance the first time, so I don't want to bother her again. But he passed away. So now, which brings us to what we are talking about today. Grief is so complex. It's complex in the sense that I don't think anything in life, even if you've grieved before, I don't think you'd ever say, oh, because I've grieved before, I think I'm a champ at this. I'm going to, because circumstances are different, loss is different. And the people you lose, their value to you is also different. So how you grieve for them is going to be always different. And I think when the day he died, I woke up in the morning, I just, with this sense of sadness. But the sadness for me wasn't like feeling that he's going to die, because I knew he was unwell and my dad was going to see him like every day. So my sadness was for him, because my dad, if you were to meet that man is my dad. The person I'm saying my dad is my stepdad, but he is like a dad to me. He loves his children unconditionally. And I remember somebody telling me, I don't know, one of my siblings saying that from the day Ngoni was hospitalized, he had not left his side. He'd leave to just go and freshen up and come back. So he'd give me regular updates, about everything. But on this particular day, I hadn't heard from him, because the updates would come like at 5 in the morning. So I had this sense of dread, but sadness, thinking, oh, if anything was to happen to Ngoni, I wonder how dad is going to take it. And I didn't hear from him. And then the next thing is my cousin who lives in Canada is the one who texted me and told me. And my grief initially wasn't even for me. My grief was for my dad. I was like, oh my goodness me, that man, I have to speak to him. So him being the decent human being he is, when I rang him, he held everything together. He thanked me for everything I'd done up to, I think that was the part that hit me, that, he acknowledged everything I'd done to that point for my brother. It was like, I know you really tried for him, and, thank you so much. And, grieving for him was so complex in the sense that there were so many other underlying aspects of, our growing up. So many underlying, issues around my grief for my brother. But I'm so pleased that, in a way, his grief, out of all that, sadness, a few things were clarified to me. A few things quite a few relationships were mended, and relationships I needed to were deaded as well. So, I think he lended me that superpower, because that's the thing about my brother. My brother had this thing about just saying what he thinks. And it didn't matter how it landed, he would just say it as it was. he would say it. And I felt so much bravery then to confront some of the things I didn't want to confront for a long time. I confronted them. And I think some of the strength was from him knowing, because I remember when he became a Christian, and he became a Christian for a very short period, my brother, and he started preaching to every one of us and calling us a bunch of heathens. And people who didn't know Christ. And you would say things like that, and he didn't care how it looked or how it sounded. And it was like, I can't lie to you because I want you to see heaven. Your lifestyle is not very pleasing of the Lord. And 2 weeks down the line, he was no longer a Christian, he was something else. And life carries on. That was the kind of person he was. And I wanted my life to carry on. And I knew that his death was going to open a lot of a pain and a lot of wounds that I needed to heal from, and I did. And in a way, I'm grateful because his death was not in vain. It made me realize and open my eyes to some of the things that I didn't want to open my eyes to, and to deal with some issues that I didn't want to deal with, and to be grateful for the siblings I still have. Because and I know when Sekuru sees this is going to be annoyed, but he would laugh because he knows what I'm saying. Because when I spoke to him after Ngoni passed away, I was like, "Whew, I always thought you were going to be the first one to go because of your lifestyle."
He's a rock star.
He lives his life like a rock star. My brother who comes after me. But I think at this rate, he's going to outlive every one of us because, he does things in such a weird way. But I was so pleased that, when I was speaking up with my other siblings about him, we sort of like, saw him in the same light, in the same eyes, and we all loved him in our own way. Which brings me to the thing I started talking about grief being very different. And sometimes you grieve as the main griever because you are the one who's got the direct loss. And sometimes you're an auxiliary griever because the people who've lost are very close to you and you're comforting them. So you're sort of like the comforter. So, through life we grieve.
And sometimes something's really tragic.
Something is so tragic that you just don't know where to start, And I think I've been God has gotten me in times when I've lost close ones, like with my dad. I never thought I would recover from my dad's death, my biological dad, and but there's something that with grief and time, with grief and talking about things, I think you always get through it. And I think as Zimbabweans, our way of grieving, guys, if you live in the UK, wherever you live in the diaspora, don't stop grieving the way we used to grieve, because that it's got its own unique healing properties, because people will force themselves on you. I remember one of my this is funny, but it's actually a grief story. One of my friends I went to school with, her mom, right, lost quite a few husbands in succession. No word of a lie. This woman was like a black widow, right?
Yeah.
So when
the house had been finished being built yet?
Well, so when I met, I will call my friend, I don't know, let me call it Tendai. So Tendai's mom, right? When I met Tendai's mom was so pretty. Those women you just look at in awe and just go, oh, when I grow up, I just want to be so well kept. And this time it was only Tendai and the mom at this point. Then Tendai's mom married this man who was he was in the Air Force. And then Tendai had a dad. So when we used to go to school, before Tendai had a dad, Tendai used to be so quiet and Tendai used to be so nice. Now Tendai has got a dad. Tendai starts acting up.
Yeah.
No, I need to rush home because my dad is coming. He's going to bring me McDonald's, whatever.
How old was she?
She was my age. At this point, I think we were like 9.
Oh, okay.
I want to rush home because my dad is coming, right? And then, Tendai's dad taught Tendai's new dad taught. We used to say at school, Tendai na baba new one. So, anyway,
Yes, yeah.
So Tendai bonded with this man, because I think. And they used to do so much together. Tendai used to go on holidays with the dad and the mom, and they'll take photos, and she would steal them from because they'll come in an envelope, and I knew the mom wouldn't have okayed for her to bring them, but she'd come to floss to us, and you'd see all these things. Then
Aw.
so there was this girl, I'll say her by name because even if she has this shame on you. So this okay, let me change her name. It's not nice. Maybe she's now a changed woman, Chris Brown. So let's call her
Lynette.
Lynette.
Yeah.
So Lynette, right, says to Tendai, you know the way you're showing off. I hope your dad dies.
That's what she said.
Yeah. And we were so young.
Why?
Now I remember at that time,
Gosh.
Tendai brought like those layered cakes. So she brought it in a lunchbox. It was for her birthday with the candle for us to see that it was actually a birthday cake.
Yeah.
So me being the friend, I used to reap for the spoils, isn't it? So I'm there, and she even brought pork pie and coleslaw and rice and all these things to school. So we're eating these things behind the toilet. Can you imagine? Then this Lynette girl comes and says, the way you're showing up, I hope your dad dies.
Yeah.
So that day, Tendai was also very forward. So Tendai goes, oh, you know what, Nemo, before we go home, let's go and find a witch doctor because I don't want my dad to die.
At 9 years old.
At 9. So we went nowhere to the lie.
And the witch doctor was okay to see 9-year-olds.
This witch doctor was very nice. Because I think when kids our age, and I think, and sorry Tendai and your mom, I think Tendai's mom used to take her to places like that because she was so comfortable. We took off our shoes, we went in there.
Oh, that's probably why she said that then.
Yeah. Then she says, oh, this girl at school said that my dad should die, and then this man said probably gave us like little leaves from nowhere and says, oh, you need to you need to rub your hands. Tendai, your dad is never going to die.
Yeah.
Right. So we are walking back. So it was quite a walk from our witch doctor where we'd gone. So we're walking back, and so we're told that we rub our hands. Then when we've walked like 20 steps, we throw the leaves. I forgot, so I put mine in my pocket.
Yeah.
And then Tendai did the throwing. So because we already walked like 80 steps at this point, so Tendai goes, "Did you throw yours?" I said, "Yeah, I did." Because there was no way I was going to say to her, I did not in my pocket. So it was a Friday, I remember. So we get home on the Friday. Then Saturday, everyone is crying. So I'm like, what has happened? They were like, Tendai's dad was involved in a car accident and Tendai's dad died.
So sad.
So Tendai came to our house because my mom said, she can come to our house to stay because, then children are not allowed at funerals. So we are there. So I told my brother, the rock star, that when we went Kunganga with Tendai so that to unease the spell, and I was given these leaves and I didn't throw them away. So
are you thinking that you killed Tendai?
No, my brother says to me, memory. Because at this point, right, because he's the one, actually, when everybody was crying, I didn't know why everybody was crying. My brother comes to me and goes, I said, what? He said, you didn't throw away those leaves. You killed that man, I said, what do you mean? Because Tendai's dad is dead. I said, what do you mean he's dead? I said, when you were supposed to throw those leaves and you didn't, he died. Oh my goodness me. I didn't know what to do. I didn't know what to say. And my friend came over. So my brother would blackmail you for anything. So he was like, you know what? I've got the leaves. Because he took them from my pocket and they were in a little envelope. He was like, if you're unkind to me whilst Tendai is here, or refuse to do what I want whilst Tendai is here, I will show her the evidence and say, what? I said, please do not, because I'll do anything. I was like, fair enough. So, because my mom, I don't know why she used to do this, she would leave bread and sadza, for lunch. So whatever, bread, like bread with butter and sadza and my veggie.
Oh, okay, I thought it was bread.
No. So whoever, obviously being young, everybody wants the bread with the butter, isn't it? So you know what?
I'll go for the sadza.
No, sadza, because you eat sadza so many times in Zim, isn't it?
Oh.
So you if you have sadza in the afternoon, you're going to have sadza at night again.
Okay, fair
and
enough.
In the morning you'd have had porridge. So if you keep on missing this bread, you're going to go through a whole month of never seeing bread.
Yeah.
So you know what? So earlier is before, because I used to be a good runner. So I'd run home and eat the bread.
Yeah.
So my brother was like, there's no way, I'm going to ever eat bread with this one in the running. So he started lying at school saying, oh, he has to rush because my younger brother Ngoni has got fits. And so mom said that he should come in the home because the fits happen around. And the teacher believed. So he used to leave school every day at 12. And being the troll he was, you'd wait by the house, you know, like, holding the slice, you know, the bread with the tea, so that I could see him start taking the first bite. So he said to me, so now at this point, his teacher came to my class to ask what if this was true.
Yeah.
And I said, no, it's not, he's lying. Right. So
knowing that
no, this was before all this.
Oh,
so
okay.
now his pass to leave school earlier was revoked.
Yeah.
So we now had to do it, you know, Dora for Dora, and always been because I was a good runner. So he was like, now, for until I'm tired of bread, you're not, even if you run home, you will not touch the bread, you will not even look at it. Yours is going to be the sansa. I said, okay. And he goes, right. You know that business where you always say, oh, you know, and if I pee my blankets, you always say to me, oh, take your blankets with we outside.
He must have been like what? 6, 5.
He was 5 at this point.
You came pretty bad.
Yeah. No, when this thing happened with Tendai's dad, Kudzi was 7 at this point, and I was 11.
Oh,
yeah, because Kudzi was way younger than me as well. So Kudzi was 7, I was 11. So now he's got the leaves with him, right? He tells me that, because that's why I could run faster than him because he was younger. There's no way you're going to have bread. You know my pea blankets. You know when you take them out, you're always telling people, you're always saying to people, you're always shouting, "Hey, Kuzi, where's some wait?" You're not supposed to do that again. You are going to hang those blankets for me, and I will say to people, I was like, okay, I'll take that. Number 3. You know, this, because we used to take turns washing dishes. Like, there's no way you are ever going to ask me to do dishes again. You will have to do dishes all the time. And you know, because that's when we used to live. You know, Good Man Savannah. My sister's garden boy. That's when she came to live with us as well. So she was there, and she was like, so you know, when it's her duty, you're going to take over that duty as well. So you'll do dishes the whole week. It was even
freeing other people.
Freeing other people from their duties. So I said, that's fine. So Tendai came. And you know, my friend, you know, she was so sad. She was like, oh, I thought I had a dad. Now I no longer have a dad. And I'm like, no, it happens, kid. So you can't say that because you've got your dad. I was like, yeah. That's why some people forget things because their dads will be at home, innit? It's who forgot what? No, nothing. I'm just saying, you know, sometimes when things happen, people forget things. So why are you saying that? So, you know, I was so good to my friend. You know, I lent him my clothes because obviously the mom was grieving. She didn't even get a chance to pack a bag. And then my brother was holding these bloody leaves over my head. And I used to look for them because I wanted to find them and throw them away. So that I would just say, you know, you can tell her, I would say, you're lying. And, you know, when I would go through his clothes, you come to me and go, so anyway, but we were so, being young as we were so good to her. We just made her feel comfortable. Even my brother, and in all his horribleness, he made sure that she was comfortable. You know, we would do things that, you know, like if we're playing games, we'd let her win. We'd do all sorts to just be kind. So from that young age, we knew, you know, to be comforters. So, you know, because even my friend said, you know what, your brother is always horrible. I don't know why he's being nice. So they said, oh, you've lost your dad. Anyway, so Tendai's mom remarries again, right? And then this time, this man, I don't know what he was like, but he never bonded so much with Tendai. So I don't think Tendai viewed this man as, you know, the dad. And then my brother, so the other day, Tendai came to play with us. And then my brother was like, you know, you guys, since you know so much about witch doctors and your dad is always hitting you, why don't you go to that witch doctor again and see if he can... This man. I was like, why are people always trying to take Tendai's dads away from? Anyway, so it didn't happen. He didn't die after my brother had said that, you know, he died, I think, 4 years later. I don't know what transpired with him. I don't know. He just died. I don't know what happened. And then the mom remarried the third time. This time he married this mixed race man. She married this mixed race man, and this mixed race man was so white adjacent, and this man had a lot of money. And Tendai became instantly rich. Their house was extended. Tendai, because this man used to work for an airline, and they used to fly everywhere, whatever. And Tendai was no longer speaking to us, fam. Tendai acted brand new. Then the other time, this time I think we're in high school now at this point. Yeah, we're in high school. So, Tendai had everything. So she really wanted to floss on the timeline, but because we had so much history together, she really couldn't. So she tolerated me, but we were not as close as we were when we were kids. So, I'd go to, at the other time, I went to her house to borrow rollers. So, you know what, pokers was, if you grew up around my area and used to set your hair for school, you know that pokers were always an issue. So we have the right amount of rollers, but never. Yeah, but you'd never have enough pokers. So anyway, I borrowed the rollers, right? And we counted the rollers together with the pokers, right? And then I returned them. I think she must have borrowed them to the other girl, whoever. But the girl who she borrowed them after me didn't return it with the pokers. But she decided, because I think she wanted to find a reason not to speak to me. So she came to our house, and she was like, and this is the thing about us.
Did the other people know her from when she was younger?
No.
That's probably why then.
So there, with my brothers, we used to fight all the time. We never used to speak to each other we spoke to each other in monosyllables and
and grunts.
And grunts. It was never, what siblings are like. But the only person who was supposed to be rude and allowed to be rude to me was my brother, not anybody else. They would not take that. And this time, I think Ngoni was about 5 when I was in high school. Anyway, when it started primary school, and I think because the other thing is, if I was having problems with people, I would tell Kuzi, and Kuzi would be like, "Why are you telling me all this rubbish?" But I would tell him so that he knows.
Yeah.
So I was like, she's acting so brand new. I don't know what I've done to her. It's like, this is the thing with her. She goes through dads like socks, but the way she acts as if she's going to have this dad forever. Don't worry, watch out for my man. Because his dad always died.
The mom.
And she was like, Memo, you know what? I never try to get into your stories with your friends, but this one, I can bet my bottom dollar she'll be back because the dads die anyway. That's what happens. I even chuckled when he said that. Anyway, she comes to my house, right? And she goes, "Hey, where did you put my pokers?" And she's yelling and she's cussing. She's cussing me out. So my brothers come out, both of them now. And this time Ngoni was like, "Fine, why are you shouting at my sister?" And now we are all now cussing this girl between the three of us. And she just leaves, right? And then I think we stopped talking for a very long time. I just wasn't talking to her. Would stand by the bus because she used to go to Queen Elizabeth. I was a girl's side. Would be by the same combi station, and we just wouldn't speak. Then the dad was involved in a serious car accident, then died.
Like the first dad?
Like the first dad. At this point, people were tired of going to this funeral. So people started gossiping like, boy, why is this woman always losing husbands? But this time she was left with a good, I think a good pension and stuff like that. And then obviously we were not talking for a very long time, but I knew how important having a dad was to her. So I went to because at that time we were allowed because she was there grieving with the mom. So I went, to
and you're teenagers at this
point. We're teenagers. So I just went to say Nematambudziko. I was just going to pass my condolences. And the way she cried and she held on to me. And when I came back, my brother was there, sorting his car. It was like, I told you. But she never keep her dad. And then years later, right, she was grown, I was grown, my brothers were grown at this point. We met at a party, and then she started laughing and saying to my brother, Kuzi, Sekuru, sure, you were telling people that I wasn't very good at keeping dads. Sure, why would you be saying things? And we reflected on how important we were to her through all the grieving. We're sort of like a constant in her life. But even the times when we were not speaking, when I went there to say sorry to her, she realized that she needed me. And I think we never stopped talking until, we grew up and, life happens and she went away and I went my way. But grief sort of like unified us. And I think because I'd seen her through 3 dads, you're sort of like, stuck in that together. And, and I was that auxiliary to her. And when my dad eventually passed away, she came and she was like, I really, really am so sorry that this has happened to you, because being me, I was like, yeah, you've got experience in this, having done this 3 times. And she was such a good such a good source of strength, and she knew what to pack, what to do. I didn't even know I needed to carry my own water. She was just there. She just knew what to do. And the roles were now in reverse, because I think she'd done this and I'm now doing it. And you just learn. And during that time as well, you know what she did the other time? So, because she was my friend, and growing up together, we used to do things together. So after we made up, after the final dad, my mom used to do this thing where if she doesn't want to go to places, she just send you. So we had an uncle. I don't know how many twice removed this uncle was. And he was in what is called, people call it Nazareth, but it's called the Beatrice infectious disease. So people with tuberculosis and all the infectious diseases would go there. But I didn't know that. So, but Tendai knew. Because Tendai, I think one of the other dad I was talking about had been in there, but
the middle dad, the one she didn't have a relationship.
The one she didn't have a relationship, died in that hospital. So when I said to her, "Scan and Nazareth," I said to her, "Can you escort me?" She was like, "Do you know what that hospital is like?" I said, "No." She says, "You know what? When I went to see, this time we're now opening up, because we bear in mind this man, when he died, we never knew. Like that's where my other dad was. When I went to see him, he was confused, and he had taken away the guy next to him. He had taken away his bowl of spit and vomit and was drinking it. So I started puking. And just in the thought of that, I was like, there's no way I'm going there. I said to her, what do we do? We can just go to your mom and lie and say you went and saw him. He was fine. He was reading his book. So we went home, right? And then my mom was like, so how was he? She was helping me. Like, today he was looking so strong. He had eaten, and we are lying like lying women. And remember, since my sisters I married all my sisters, my mom used to sleep with me. It was like so that she knew that I wasn't going out to do what these 2 girls were doing. So we used to sleep in the same bed. And my mom used to do this weird thing, right? She'd wake up at 9 and she'd wake up at 12 to switch on the radio to listen to death notices. So she woke up at 9 and she hears Daniel so and so would like to notify my mom's name is said. Remember, years and years my mom had listened to this of the roofing. She'd never had anyone she knew. She'd be like, oh, I think these people are from this place. I know them. This time this one was like to her. And she was like, I should like, this person would like to notify this person and this person and this person that their uncle so and so died 2 days ago. Yes, it's Nazareth Hospital. The body is going to be carried to tomorrow morning. Mom is like, so who did you go and see?
Did you confess?
My brother was a good liar, remember?
Yeah.
So at this point, mom is shouting. And we used to protect each other from my mom's wrath. Because I was a terrible liar. So he comes in and was like, Mom, what are you guys talking about? It was this one. Do you know this one who doesn't have very good eyesight? She probably went in there and was speaking to some other man. So my mom actually started laughing. So you were greeting somebody and calling them Sekuru.
And you probably never even met him before.
No.
Yeah.
So
it was plausible.
Yeah. So my mom was like, so you're speaking to somebody you're not even related, because I was just about to say, I was told of how horrible this place was, and I just said it, I wasn't going to go, but we hadn't turned up. So yeah, so we were exposed to death, our parents grieving and stuff like that, and we used to do all sorts. And some of the things I remember about the deaths I experienced when I was younger, some of them, that's where some of my childhood friends became, my lifetime friends. So grief, in a way, is a journey that is not necessarily, the grieving process is hard, but sometimes you gain so much to the extent that the loss becomes a bit more easier by the years. With my brother's death, I gained myself. I think I gained a lot of recognition, right? Coming to the funerals themselves, Zimbabwean funerals are special. There's nothing I can say apart from, because people
One of
are
the best things about our culture, I would say,
is the way we grieve, I think. And people are never told what to do. And I don't want to particularly speak about my dad's funeral because it gets me very emotional, but I can tell you about a funeral which I was very privy to.
Just in general, like, so you can describe like what it is, just for somebody who
doesn't
know.
So our funerals start from the moment people know, right? From the time somebody hears like right? And there's so many facets to it. The closer people are absolutely devastated. So obviously they are about, they are rolling, they are writhing, they're doing whatever. And people really mourn for their dead. And then there is the auxiliary mourners, right? Those are the ones who are related by distance, or, to them it's duty to attend the funeral. They're not directly affected with them. Because I've been on both sides, on many of these sides. Because I remember when I used to go to funerals with my mom, and my mom would be like, "Please, can you start us off?" Because
everyone's invited as well.
Yeah. So people, and when my dad died, I don't know. It's people from Rio. Please tell me, because I didn't grow up there. I didn't understand what this was about. They would come like in 20s or like in 10s, and then they'll just kneel by the coffin and just go, ah! And none of them have a tear. So I'm just like, what's happening? And then there is the ones that take you out of your grief because of their grief, and just thinking, how they're doing it better than I am doing it.
Yeah.
Like there's my dad's great aunt. She was still alive when my dad died. And she does, like poetry. She's like, Dianuka isamunzi wamudhonduyo. Dianuka wetera pasinga weterwe. And she'll do all sorts, right? So you are now between the crying and the laughing. You just don't know how to feel. But those are the things I remember. And the singing, people do not stop to sing. People will sing and they'll take it in turns. So you're never, during that time, honestly, you stop crying. You feel so strong. I think, when people leave, that sometimes when the reality kind of hits, because there's the singing, there's the Varora doing the most, twerking. Varora are like, they're the ones that like they provide the comic relief. Some of them reenact your dad's behavior. My dad was a busy man, and they will be doing like, pretending to drive Magonyet and going, "Dapaka pano, not pane mwanongu, vanoseka." But nepamsorabo, kana neneo, and just to show how busy my dad was. So this they will be saying, I'm pregnant with him. I'm pregnant with him, and these are Aurora. And you laugh because it's so, that what they're saying is very true of your dad. And then there is the rituals of it. So, right. So remember, if you've been following this podcast, you would have come across my episode with my stepmom. So my stepmom was weird. So everybody there, when my dad died, we do a vigil, a wake, if you like. So that is when the body comes into the house, and then people, do their, last singing and whatever. So it's very, I think it would be really sad if, there wasn't all these people who would have surrounded you, because the wife sits at the bottom, at the leg, at the feet. So who is who by how they situate themselves near the body. So the mothers sit on where the head is. So everyone who is viewed as a mom will be sitting by so that these are the mothers, that these are the wives. The children, you can just dart yourself everywhere.
Why did the mom sit at the head?
Because the head comes out of your, you're the one who's born your child. So you sit, and also it's to show how the body is lying in state. So that if these mothers are sitting there, the head is probably there, and if the wife is sitting there, that's where the feet are. So all those little rituals just are to show you, and also it makes it easier when people come to, you know, to pay their condolences, to see where the mothers are, right? And it's, the sadness is there, but you feel, and also that's where you see how well a life has been lived, is the amount of people that are there. You know, at my dad's funeral, I think for the 3 days I was in such a daze, I was tired because people were coming, you know, and at some point, God love my dad's best friend, he had to do like people in sessions because everyone wanted to pay their respects. So we used to have like services where my pastor would come, they would do their service and they would do their hour and would say Jakwana, the next group comes, so that everybody had their 10. That's how much my dad's life meant to that many people. And then, you know, Varora West, you know, they would be doing everything. They would be pretending to do the act in front of his coffin until, you know, they'll do all sorts, because you have to pay them as well, because if you don't pay them, they'll carry on. And you know, where I come from, being vulgar is very, very easy. And you know, some of the things you don't want to see them for your dad. And they'll be calling me England because I'd come from England. They'll be like, England, pay because we'll show you a porno here. So you have to give them money before they do all sorts. And these are grown women. And you appreciate them because, and then they
take like the edge off.
They take the edge off. And then, you know, where I come from, where my dad came from, the women don't cook, you know, and so the Wakwasha, the son-in-laws, are the ones who cook. So it's, you know, it was my aunts were laughing of this. It's really nice to be saved by your husband for once, because they would have to organize themselves.
Is it just at the funeral that they cook?
At the funeral, at the Nyarados, you know, those big gatherings, they are the ones
in mourning.
They are the ones they take away from their wives. So it's normally, because when my dad died, the sisters didn't do the cooking. Their husbands, the sisters' husbands were doing the cooking. And they were very, you know, men, if they're left to their own devices and nobody's bothering them, they'll do, meals were on deck. And there's one of my my uncle's, my aunt's husband, he made himself in charge because he was in the army as well. He's so strict. He just got everything happening when it was supposed to happen. So for my dad's funeral, I went with my ex-sister-in-law. So she said to me, you know, because when I was crying, she was like, you know what, you can't go back to the UK without anything for the kids. And knowing these people, you're not going to get anything. I said, and she said to me, what do you want? And I said, I want his photo. She was like, okay, say less. So at this point, you know when things are happening, so the photo was right on top of the coffin. And I'm just thinking, how is this going to happen? So, because initially I'd asked for it, and this woman had told me that there is no way that photo, because if I give you that photo, it's like I've chased your dad out of the house, so you cannot have the photo. I said, okay, fair enough.
Is that a thing?
What thing? She just didn't want to give it to me. Anyway, so we are there, you know, the night, the wake is happening, everybody's singing. So at this point, so the photo will be on top of the coffin for the people who didn't know him to see that that's him. And then that was fine, you know, and there was no way, because we knew those people would look at you whilst you're trying to grab it, and because everybody could see that that's where it was. So I'm just thinking, where is she going to get this opportunity to swipe this, you know, portrait for me? Anyway, so we the whole night everybody's awake. No one sleeps because you sing. Then
and people will be drinking as well, isn't it?
Yeah, people will be drinking. Then, you know, the men wake up very early in the morning. They go and, you know, start digging the grave, because apparently it cannot be dug the night before, because you don't want to bury him with some you know, desirables. So it's done in the morning, and you know, everybody's there to see what's happening. So anyway, that happens. So I'm just thinking, you know, I want this portrait, but I just don't know how it's going to happen. So anyway, he's carried to his burial place. My dad's best friend puts the portrait there, because whilst people are talking, there's something to look at. And now the body viewing happens by the burial side. My father's best friend picks up the portrait again, hugs it, whilst everybody's doing what they're doing. They're doing the body viewing. I can see my sister-in-law edging nearer to. So you know, like she's aging. She's now stood next to this man. So now everybody is now crying. You know, like when people do the body viewing, people get very emotional. So my sister-in-law takes the portrait from him because he needed to go and start comforting people. So takes the portrait, puts it in blankets, straight to the car, comes back. And then we carry on. Now he's buried. My stepsister now, she's going, where's dad's photo?
Did anybody have a clue?
Because you know she found the right opportunity when there was that much commotion. You know, because when my stepmom was doing the body viewing, she was, you know, she's a big woman, and she was threatening to go into the to join him. So people now, because of the commotion, everybody's rushing to comfort her. That's when my sister-in-law swiped the photo, put it in the blankets, and straight to the car. Because obviously she didn't have any horse in this race. She'd come with me to support me. So I then, because I saw all this happening, because me and my other siblings were done our body viewing, so we're standing there. And then obviously, people were like, oh, maybe it fell into the ground. Then I said me being the honest one, I can't lie to save my life. I said, you cannot tell anyone, but we know where the portrait is. And
who did you say that to?
To my dad's best friend.
Oh, okay.
And he was like, oh, okay, that's fine. That's all right. Leave it with me. Because I said, I want to take it for my kids because I want them to see my dad. I was like, okay, that's fine. It's like, oh, don't worry. We know where the portrait, we'll sort it out. Let's carry on. Atingamise basa nenya kuti picture. Ndaikanda mukati momo. And he was like, it's in there, it's been buried. Fushira yako mana. Photo inenda nemuridzi wayona. What do you mean the photo inenda nemuridzi wayona? Anti munomaziva mese. Mapicture munaokumba. And I'm like, I'm just kidding. And then when I came back with my dad's portrait. So, you know, because the frame broke, you know, in all the commotion and trying to hide it, the frame broke. So we had to get a new frame for him. And then he came to the UK with me. So I took the likeness of my father. I stole my dad's portrait, guys, and I have it with me. But everybody plays.
That was a really good steal, though.
Yeah.
Because we wouldn't even be able to. I wouldn't know what he looks like.
No.
Only Rio.
Yeah. Because Rio remembers.
Yeah.
Because
Jojo and Charlotte would never.
No. Because Rio remembers. Because Rio used to go everywhere with him, right? Because you'd come and pick him up in the morning. Rio would come and they would come and, you know, you'd come and take Rio. And because Rio is such a boy's boy, you'd go with him. So the other day they spent the whole day together. And then he came to bring him back. And then forgot the dummy. And then he drove away. And it was like almost like midnight. And I can hear him knocking at the door. I was like, what's the matter? I was like, so knowing him, he probably is not asleep. And he was still awake, just sat there. And and the thing is, I would never, under any normal circumstance, anyone, you know, like do to the dummy and give it back. So when he was giving it, Rio was just sitting there staring at him. She goes, oh, I told until and he was like, then gave it to him. Then he went to sleep.
Oh.
So that was my dad. And his funeral taught me a lot about the kind of person, because you can tell by the tempo, and there was no fighting, because the funerals I've been to, guys, some of them end up with people accusing each other of what. It was so it wasn't like that. It was so much, you know, there was, you know, his great aunts, because he used to take care of them. He used to bring them blankets from South Africa. He would buy them clothes. And these old women, that's what one of the one I was telling you, that she was doing the poetry. Then my grandma came, my mother's mother came. And I was just like, please, grandma, do not pray. Because my grandma loves to say this prayer. Oh, I'll pray this prayer for my grandma, and she will do it at any funeral. And if you've been to a funeral with my grandma, if she doesn't pray this prayer, she's not feeling very well. She'll be like, "Tens, izvo tinonzwa washishiti." iri kutoridza zvayo tsonyi kuti vhaira hako nguva haisi yako, wachi ndeyako asi nguva ndeyatenzi. Amen. So in English, for those non-Shona speaking, listeners, when my grandma prays this prayer, when she makes a sound, she'll be imitating the watch. So she'll be saying, oh God, if we knew when the watch is going, it's feeling sorry for us, saying, you're going to die very soon. Watching the apple. So the watch is yours, but the time is of the Lord. Yeah. Amen. That is a prayer.
That is quite a beautiful prayer.
Yeah. And at 3 a.m, if everybody's tired, people, in the morning, people would sing songs like Unorare kumuka muka iwe, mtende akarara. Not my grandma. My grandma is different. My grandma will be like, Moka enonze mono, Moka enonze mono, Moka enonze mono. Moka yakafurira Samusoni, Moka yakafurira. I think she made it up herself. Yeah, that's my grandma. That's what she brings. That's her flavor. So people will go in where my grandma stays. People call it awaj. Because she will pray the watch prayer everywhere she goes. That's her prayer. And I think
that's her funeral prayer.
Yeah. Like, you're busy whiling out and thinking the time belongs to you. It doesn't. That's why your watch is always going.
It's tatting.
Yeah,
it's
going
tat, 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 tat,
tat. Yeah. Shame. Thinking that you've got all the time you think you have. The time is of the Lord. It's just that watch you're wearing, that's what's yours. Oh. Yeah. But you see, these are the things. And it's the same players. It's the same things. And it's the same people getting together and doing the same things, I think, that makes Zimbabwean funerals so special. If you know that you come from a fighting family, you know that everybody's going to fight at some point. If you come from a family that grieves, accusing each other, it's going to happen at some point.
Yeah, so, I can check it.
And things like that. Or some will even pay the Sawiras and Warora to do that, to talk about it. Yeah. To say, because they just want it all. Like I used to hear about some of my relatives where, one of the specific uncles would bury everyone because he would be the one and I'm checking.
Why are you at every funeral?
Offering to pay for everything. What's your why? Do you have that much money?
What's your investment?
What's your investment in all of this?
Oh, so anybody who is grieving or has lost somebody, what message do you want to leave them with?
Grief is not linear, guys. Some days you wake up and you think of some of the, fun times and you laugh. And sometimes you think of, those good times and they make you cry. So be very kind to yourself. Allow yourself, do not go through the, wide systems of grieving, that the acceptance, the whatever, because you might get to the acceptance, then come back to the grief, might come back to the, I'm dealing with it very well and something happens or somebody. Have you ever been to a funeral where you see people cry, a person crying and you realize that they're not crying about what's happening here. They're crying about something else. Things like that can happen.
Like
Triggering, yeah. So you just need to be kind to yourself. Go through the emotions. If you've got people you can, reminisce with, people you can sort of like be very, honest with about what you're going through, it's good. And grief comes with different emotions. They come, especially if it's a complicated grief where maybe had been some issues around you and the deceased, and you have got unspoken anger towards them. All those things complicate grief, and sometimes you have to sort through all those things before you can actually grieve. So it's knowing where you are within the grief process. And sometimes you need to go to counseling, especially when you, after a certain amount of time, you're still grieving as if it happened yesterday. Then you realize that this is becoming complicated.
Like struggling to move on.
Yeah, you're struggling to move on. And that's the time you probably would need to go into grief counseling. And I find for myself, talking about the people and reminiscing about my, my loved ones to my family does help. Because even during that time, I remember I was telling Coco snippets of my life with my brother. And, I would forget about what was happening. Not that and allow yourself to remember them as the way you want to remember them. Don't be told how to remember the people you're grieving about by other people, because your experience is very unique to you. Because some people will say to you, but kananga asiri mboko kwauri, if they're not horrible to you and they were lovely, remember them as that, because that's what they were to you. So remember them as what they meant to you, and that's the best you can do. And when they say time is a great healer, I think time allows you to be more clear. I don't think you ever forget or the pain goes away because of time. You learn to live with the pain. You learn to breathe through it
And
navigate through it and be functional. Because initially when it happens, you are non-functional. You can't do anything. But then you realize that you've got children. Life has to go on. I think what makes grief bearable is the notion that life has to go on.